that the number one influencer on pain in a body when running is the forward head. And it is. You need a reflective surface in a shop window. Be vain. Look in the shop windows. For me, there's a natural, logical, commonsensical order of things. And heading straight to get strong doesn't make any sense in my head. It's not the shoe, it is the foot in the shoe.
Welcome to the Visionary Podcast, where we discuss science, medicine, physical health, and mental well-being. Efficient running, I have to mention this quote. Efficient running, you write, is a look to the observer and a sense to the person, exemplifying absence of effort, a body in harmony gliding across the ground. This sounds very romantic, Helen. I mean, I run the way I taught myself to run when I was 3, and I don't think I look good. I mean, to teach myself how to move in this like relaxed fluidity will be a dream for me, and like efficiency.
And I think we are all, if we're born to be able to run because it's an innate movement pattern, I think it's possible in all of us.
Yes.
I think everybody is capable of it if they want to explore, become aware, notice stuff, and be prepared to change stuff. Not arduously. It's not about getting stronger and exercising. It's about finding where there are dark spaces, finding closed doors or perennially open doors, and making sure that the innate movement patterning is organized.
Yeah, I noticed that you're not bothered at all about power or speed.
No. Power and speed, they come. So a long time ago, I'm going to say probably early 2000s. What am I saying? Early 2000s. This idea of running and strength training really came to the fore because ultra distance runners were suddenly doing amazing things that had never been done before. And it was like a sudden improvement. And the ultra distance world, they're not bothered about, it wasn't drug enhanced stuff. It was these people had endurance written into their bones. They had run and run and run, and they were top of their game in the ultra distance world. Then they started going to the gym and getting strong. Then all the records got broken for all of the great big long races. So it became a thing, and there were even memes of if you want to run a marathon, don't run a single step, just go to the gym. It became that ridiculous that you could run a marathon quite happily. All you need to do is go to the gym. And you scratch the surface of that and you think, well, does that make sense?
No, at all. Even for me,
it makes no sense.
Different muscles, different
ways of moving. How many reps can you do in the gym? I don't know. On a lightweight, maybe 20. How many tens of thousands of reps are required when you are running? And you have to build efficiency of movement, efficiency of engaging as much of the free energy from elastic recoil. You can't do that in the gym. A gym is a static movement. There's no free energy from elastic recoil.
And train the lung itself. It's a muscle, isn't it?
Cardiovascular. Yeah. So it went from, oh, this is interesting, to taking it to the extreme end, which is wonderful because people explored things. Then that fell by the wayside, but the strength and conditioning element remained strong. But I always say, well, what are you strengthening? If you are moving in an awkward, lumpy, disorganized way, where the shoulder girdle, arm, collarbone, shoulder blade, and the pelvic girdle, pelvis and legs and feet, aren't moving harmoniously in harmonious cooperation, how is the gym going to sort that out? Getting stronger, you're getting stronger in the patterns that you are in.
Yes.
And we need to speak to the patterns. We move in patterns. Everything that we have as an innate, foundational, fundamental movement shape is a pattern. And those patterns need to be organized. Then we can do the strengthening. So it's not that strengthening doesn't have merit, but it comes after we've got the system organized. For me, there's a natural, logical, commonsensical order of things. And heading straight to get strong doesn't make any sense in my head. I'm trying to make it make sense because that's what I'm hearing. But it doesn't make sense, which is very frustrating. So I think, what am I missing? So I'll go learn some more. What am I missing? I must be missing something. I always think I must be missing something.
Which is a lovely, amazing trait to make you more susceptible for more knowledge.
The quest for better answers. Yeah. And it'll be an endless quest.
Hi, I'm Hella, your host today. If you're enjoying what you see, please hit that lovely subscribe button. It will mean a lot to us. Or maybe a small podcast now, but with your support, we can build this channel together, one step at a time. Thank you so much for being part of it. You mentioned endurance sports. You have been credited as the first barefoot Ironwoman. How could that even be possible? Tell us about this decision. You ditched your shoes for the most grueling event on the planet.
Honestly, there was literally, like everything that I seem to have done, there was no plan. I literally had no other trainers.
Seriously?
Literally had no other trainers. The only trainers I had were my barefoot 5 fingers. They were the very first 5 fingers, so they were the thinnest, the most minimal.
I can't believe this, because I read it in your email and I didn't get it. Because it was hard to believe.
They literally were all I owned. And Italy sent me some sparkly ones for my wedding.
Oh.
So 5 fingers was how I started my barefoot journey. I mean, it's a crazy phrase, isn't it? Because it's not barefoot. It's like a thin skin on top of your skin. And when I saw it, I was at the Olympia back show, of all places. And by that time in the shop, we had toe socks from Finland, from the wonderful Feelmax family. And so we arrived at this Olympia back show, and there was a stand with Vibram 5 fingers there, these shoes. And I'm thinking, oh my goodness, I can just slip my toe-socked feet straight into these shoes with toe, like glove-like openings. And the rest is history. So yes. I just thought, oh, this is amazing. And so off we went. And then everything else just got ditched. And we went from probably the thickest sole that existed in the world at the time, which was MBT's, Masai Barefoot Technology, massive rocker-soled shoes that I was helping folk find better running form in, bizarrely, so rigid, so thick, they were rigid, except for this pivot point. And they arose because I was working with lymphedema clients who had gross swelling of limbs. And this is not curable. It's often as a result of cancer treatment. So they had survived the cancer and then they were left with this chronic, awful condition that nobody mentioned about. And it was very distressing for them. So it was all about giving them tools for them to be able to manage their condition, to be as self-sufficient as possible. And so we looked at everything. So it was all about getting all the internal piping with as few kinks and pressure points in it as possible so that the lymphatics could flow as easily as possible. And to get them upright, to do that, this was back in 2004, the MBT technology, enormous rocker-soled shoes, the pivot point of the sole, you balanced on them. So you couldn't slump forward in them. You literally, it was like you were going to topple over. So they were this wonderful biofeedback tool. So you just knew you were upright. And so I was helping people run in them because finally they could feel where upright was, because they would otherwise think that they were tipping back. If you If you don't know that this is forward when you're leaning forward because your inner ear fluid is sticky, it's got used to it. When you're upright, it feels like you're tipping back.
Yes. Yeah.
So then you fight the senses, which is why you need to see them. You need to video yourself. You need your friend to video you. You need a reflective surface in a shop window. Be vain. Look in the shop windows. Don't believe your inner ear if you were habitually forward. Don't believe your inner ear initially, because it might be telling you porky pies. It's telling you you're tipping back, but you're not. You're upright and you can see it. Then the vision information starts to match the vestibular information. And your insurance policy, to go back to the maximum head rotation, if you go too far back, you have less rotation. There's always an insurance policy.
Yeah, it's a trade-off.
So lots of people come in and they think they've got a forward head because they've heard a forward head is everywhere. And, I have said that the number one influencer on pain in the body when running is the forward head. And it is. But it doesn't mean to say that everybody has a forward head. It doesn't mean the same as, okay, got to pump the elbows, got to shorten the stride. It's N equals 1, you. So we need to know, well, did you have a forward head in the first place? Because if you then try and put it further back when it was fine in the first place, now you're leaning back and now you have tension. But people are just listening to the ubiquitous message that we're all the same, we all start the same pretty much, but then we all have different ways of getting from A to B depending on our injury history and our movement development. There's not a way and there can't be an answer. 45,000 people start London Marathon, maybe more now, maybe 40,000 finish. Nobody looks the same. Mm-hmm. Nobody looks the same. So it can't be that we have these rules that match for everybody. So it's finding, well, is my head forward? Do I need to change anything? Have I gone too far? It will feel, it might feel as if you're in the right place, but if you rotate your head, you will have less movement. So you experiment not just by the visuals, by the sense of freedom of movement within the entire system as well.
Okay. This begs the question, how should I pick my trainers? Are you in favor of minimalist shoes? How do I do this?
So the magic is your foot. So people think that they'll put their foot in a barefoot shoe or a minimalist shoe and everything will be perfect. And for some, it solves the problem. For others, it doesn't, because it's not the shoe, it is the foot in the shoe.
Yes.
So does the foot inside the shoe, whatever shoe you choose to wear, is the foot functional? Is the foot free to function? So lots of people, they gain from minimalist footwear because they can feel the ground and they're getting all this new feedback and they love it. They don't overstride anymore. They don't jar their back pain goes because they have this increased input coming in from the ground. It's not being muffled by the cotton wool of all the cushioning. Wonderful. But it isn't the answer. The answer is, what is your foot able to do? What isn't it able to do? Help the foot out and wear whatever you are comfortable in. So I wrote the book,
right,
even with your shoes on, because I was known. Nobody knows me, but my friends who did know me, I'm known within my little tiny circle as a barefoot runner, which means you wear something minimal on your feet, not literally a barefoot runner. There are some literal barefoot runners, of course, and it must annoy them intensely when other people are called barefoot runners when they're clearly not and there's something on their feet. So in Ironman, you had to have something on your feet. You weren't allowed to run literally barefoot. So there was this little vibrant 5-finger thing. The footwear just needs to be as comfortable as possible. And I suggest to people when they are considering footwear, because of what I measure consistently, because there's a big thing out there for super shoes.
Super shoes.
Super shoes.
What are they?
Well, Kipchoge wears them. The guy who did the sub 2 hour marathon and the technology in the super shoes, they have like a carbon plate inside the shoe. And I think there's some kind of Kevlar coating, which returns energy. And so it's like it's called a super shoe. And it's not called a super shoe for nothing. It's almost like a turbo boosted item of footwear. So arguably giving people advantages, people are going faster in them. And they are not without their, I want to say problems. I'm trying not to be confrontational because I am not confrontational. But I just want people to be aware. The shoe isn't the answer, and be careful because because the research was way back in the 90s when the gymnasts were getting more and more injured with the advancement of the foam, the deep foam landing mats. Injury rates weren't going down, they were going up. So they did all this research and they established that it's as if the central nervous system is trying to find the ground through the cushioning, and the landing forces are harder with more cushioning. And I have never measured it otherwise. So I will measure every time more landing impact forces with more cushioning. So runners will bring in their normal trainers, and their new super shoes, and they want to know which one is better. I feel as if it's these super shoes because they feel springy, but literally they all turn into Tigger. So they have more vertical oscillation. They're all bouncing around, and they have increased landing forces, which is not a problem provided your joints and your hammies can cope with the landing forces that the joints are having to manage. So don't believe what is out there. Have a comfortable shoe. Notice what happens when you run. Film it. If you see more vertical oscillation, actually, this is when the wearables can actually give you information on vertical oscillation. So, but I don't know if they're not looking or just blanking the vertical oscillation signs and just looking at the speeds and wanting the speed. So they just, if you don't want to see it, you can definitely not see it.
Yeah.
But my advice is to notice everything.
This implies to me that thoughts and motion or movement are somehow rooted in the same place. Can you expand on this mind-body connection? Is that a thing?
In my world, the context would be, I can give an example. So in our movement development, there'll be something that creates grip. And I can test and see, is the grip increasing as it should? Yes. Okay, great. And then because I've got my suspicions because of the movement patterning, I'll think, okay, I'm going to test, I think this is grip. So I test for the positive grip, yes. And then I'll test for the loosening of the grip. But the grip tightens again instead of loosening. And I eyeball them and I go, you can't let go. And it lands every time. So they can't let go literally and figuratively. So
why is that?
It's like our movement development that creates the ability to grip, the action of grip, the action of letting go, creates the same in our characteristics.
Yes.
So our characteristics are our movements. They come from the same place.
I see.
And so somebody who Is there another example I could use? So the lifelong reflex of locomotion hasn't emerged or is a mess. This picks up the leg for you. So you don't have to pick your legs up. And that person is literally dragging their legs unwillingly along everywhere. And they will be literally dragging. It will feel not just like they're literally dragging their legs because their legs don't have the reflex that picks them up to make them a nice, easy swing leg. They, within themselves, life is a drag. This is like, everything is hard. It's a leg thing. It's a leg swing thing. And it's a whole being thing. And it's not as cut and dried as that, but it can be. There's interconnectivity between the way we think and our movements that feed the movements, but the movements were fed by the way we think, but which came first, we don't know. And then it becomes almost like a bit of a brain mess. So what do we do? What do we do about it? We just need to go back to the brain, speak to who's in charge, which part of the brain is in charge of this particular area. Can we get that a little bit more organized? Can we get that grip to loosen? Will it mean that they'll be able to let go figuratively as well as literally? Probably.